Ryan, thank you for joining us in the studio. We really appreciate having you in, of course, for our first episode of the 2025 season. Before we get into your exciting new role at the Powelltown Footy Netball Club, can we also just talk a little bit about your time at Blackrock in the Southern League, where you took the Jets from second last on the ladder to a premiership in 2022?
Thanks for having us, Aidan and crew. It's lovely to be here. Come from Blackrock, so in the Southern Football Netball League. Predominantly spent, I guess, the last portion of my career there, 6 to 7 years at Blackrock Footy Club. Sort of started off in the Eastern League and played a fair bit of footy at Bayswater and Mitcham. And then towards the back end, I sort of was always going to, at the latter stage of my playing days, go back to Blackrock, sort of where I grew up, where my dad was sort of president. So I guess a really fulfilling time for me there, to be able to sort of go back to my grassroots, back to where I grew up. And then to be able to sort of take the reins and coach, and not only coach, I guess, to help sort of infiltrate a little bit more, I guess maybe a semi sort of professionalism type base, some new recruits, new personnel, and then to ultimately get the success, mate, was awesome.
Yep. What made you want to get involved with Powelltown?
To be honest, it was a fleeting conversation with President Jeff Mooney. But that's all it really was, and I never really gave it too much thought, didn't really channel it too much within myself. But one of my best mates, Shannon Halliday, and his Benny Ratton, one of the club greats or league legends, they worked together, so they sort of coincided a little bit with sort of getting Moons to get in contact with me. So that's where sort of the seed was planted, and from there it sort of grew some legs.
Your netball program struggled a bit with numbers last season, and this year you've got 5 teams together into the competition. Can you talk a bit about building that relationship with the netball program and the importance of having all teams connected and buying into the club?
Well, I think this is just sort of one for mine, coming from metropolitan football, where the presence of perhaps netballing and footballing, I guess, togetherness or community isn't quite as strong as what it gets with the romance and the novelty of it being in country clubs. So that was really a great attraction for me, particularly with the, I guess, coming up the hill, AFL out of East, a strong contingency regarding their footballing and netballing programs as one. So, our netballing program, we do have, there's going to be some multiple under-17 teams, I believe. There's also multiple senior netball teams. So there's 4 to 5 netball teams at the moment. And, I'm not too privy or haven't been shed too much light on how they went sort of last year. But Erin Mullen is a new senior netballing coach. She's doing a terrific job, just with an influx of new personnel, new girls who are super keen, and also just the age demographic of girls coming in who are young, who are keen to sort of participate in community sports, a huge plus, and the program is looking really strong. Yep.
What are your goals for the senior footy side in 2025?
Oh, flag, no. I guess goals for us, we're starting at the bottom. We obviously had really, really great success under Jared Bayless for a couple of years, where the boys, for 2 to 3 years, obviously won back-to-back flags, but for 3 years there were quite prominent. And we did really, really well. Fell away through to personnel and other sort of, issues with the natural sort of evolution of football clubs as they go through. So I guess for us, look, the boys got belted by 150 to 200 points every week last year, but I've just said to them and maintained the message all along that, to be able to keep the doors open, to be able to use our new facilities, it wasn't looking likely. At the start of last year when Ratsy put his hand up and took control. So I already said to the boys that that's a huge plus. The doors are open. We get to enjoy these new facilities, and that's a win. So we're just going to go about sort of rebuilding the club, instilling a little bit of hope and faith back in the joint. I think it's a bit of a cultural shock from having to go from back-to-back flags to almost going, well, is this still going to be here? Because not too many clubs come back from recess. So we're in the business of selling hope, and that's what we're going to do, and hopefully pick up a few wins along the way, mate.
Most certainly. As you've gotten to know the playing group across the pre-season, can you give us an insight into the feeling of the group heading into 2025 and any players that have been standouts for you so far?
Yeah, the group's a good one. They're a bunch of characters. They're great boys, especially the OG Powley boys. Jakey Neal, Keggy, we call him Keggy, Kane McDonald, Dimmy. Said, why do they call you Dimmy? Likes Dim Sim. So there's some really colloquial sort of just some good characters amongst the sort of country footy club feeling. And I know that bringing the Metropolitan boys up the hill, and then by sort of buying into the country sort of makeup, and I just think it's made for a really a really nice connection. Dean Roy, he's one of the original Powelltown boys, and apparently he hasn't ever done a pre-season, but you wouldn't actually know it from this pre-season. He's been absolutely firing on all cylinders, hasn't missed a session, been doing the extras. He's a beautiful player. I actually came and watched Powley a couple of last year for a game, and geez, he looked really good. He was a standout for mine. So with his pre-season, I think he's definitely going to be one to watch. And one of our new recruits, I think Joshy Cowan, I think has hit the ground running, super fit. I didn't realise how fit he was, but just how well he moves for a big body midfielder. So he's put his best foot forward. He's got beautiful skills. I think he'll be pretty influential.
You've obviously been able to bring a couple of recruits across from Blackrock and even just some of the other clubs from the Southern Footy League. How are they going to sort of fit into the side this year?
They're just good boys. I mean, they're just first and foremost good blokes, good men, good boys. They just sort of bring a sense of, I guess, semi-professionalism, but just some buy-in. I think they're really sort of reliable, and that's what you want. You don't really want remarkable. You just want reliable. You know what you're going to get from these guys. They're going to rock up. You're going to get good representation at training. So first and foremost, they're great fellas. They've obviously got a great skill set when it comes to football. But they just do anything for each other, anything for their teammates, which is why a lot of them come from. They're dispersed from a fair portion, a fair way away, and for them to make the commitment and come and play for Powelltown is awesome. So I expect them to do really well on and off the field. Going
back to your time at Southern, can you tell us a little bit about Liam Vertigan as a commentator and what you think about him?
Verto's a great man. He's I love him. Bromance. So love you, Liam. He's really, really good fella. Got on really, really well with him. Always had a lot of time for Liam, and I guess vice versa. He sort of had a lot of time for me. Rolling his arm over at FNC Gully Cricket Club, where I used to play and captain coach as well. So it's sort of intertwined itself in nicely there, but always got on well with Liam. He's a good man.
Ryan, got plenty of players this season who are travelling a fair way. It's no secret Powelltown's probably not the closest for most. You yourself coming from Rosebud, how long does it take you to get there, and why do you think so many people are willing to make that sort of commitment?
Takes me, well, depending on, so I'm a chippy by trade, pretty flexible, so I own my own small construction company. So flexible with, I like to be prepared and like to be able to beat the traffic and leave early, so I'm very fortunate in that sense. Takes probably, depending where I'm working, hour 30, hour 45. So I do live in Rosebud and have played at Blackrock, work predominantly Bayside in the city and surrounding suburbs, so from servicing the Mornington Peninsula all the way up towards those areas. So for me, the travel's not a huge factor. I sort of get a little bit of downtime in the car, the radio's off, me and my thoughts. A little dangerous at times, but I do enjoy that aspect of it. So I guess, for me, I don't really put too much emphasis on the travel, but I mean, I guess it's just part of the challenge. I mean, as I said, they're the geographical challenges that sort of present with keeping this club not only relevant, but thriving and succeeding. And we're trying to find a really sustainable model, not only for the original Powelltown boys to thrive and succeed, but also for these guys who come from far away to have that really solid reason to come, and not only come, but just keep coming and keep contributing. And once you create that infectious landscape, it doesn't really matter where you come from. You're just there to work.
Yep. Ryan, thank you very much for joining us in the studio, mate, and good luck for the season coming up.
Thanks, Aidan. Thanks, mate.